There are a few things you can count on in football. There's two halves, a final whistle, and then there's the brands fighting it out to have the lightest boot on the market. The king of lightweight is the result of that battle, and with its only 102 grams, it's redefined what light means.
Let's be honest, who doesn't love a lightweight speed boot? The crafty engineers at PUMA do, and instead of stuffing the evoSPEED SL2 with new tech like you'd normally do, they've spent all their time on cutting down the boot to the bare minimum so you can feel light on your feet like a boxer, and to give you the fastest experience ever.
And that mindset immediately shows as the upper on the evoSPEED SL is engineered to be as minimal as possible. Made with a 3-layered upper construction consisting of a speed frame skeleton, a textile mesh, and a synthetic coating that's literally paper thin. It's meant to give you just enough support and stability to keep your foot in place, but without adding any bulk. Sounds too good to be true? Not if you're a German engineer.
And actually, they're so light that my mind needed a bit of time to grasp the fact that I was indeed wearing boots. Because of the fact that the upper is so thin and pliable that it just blindly follows the shape of your foot. No pressure points, no questions asked. If your foot has a bump, the evoSPEED will accommodate. It's like strapping a piece of paper around your foot. The only complaint is though that the upper is a bit plasticky and wrinkles up until you've broken it in. From there on, you won't feel a thing. But because the speed frame is so thin and, sorry PUMA, somewhat flimsy, the chance of getting a proper lockdown is as big as me becoming an underwear model. And that means that you get a relatively loose sensation with a bit of rollover, but thankfully it's not as bad as I'd feared. Just get the sizing right and it will respond well to your movements. Width-wise, it's probably better for narrow to normal footed people, and because it runs slightly long, consider going down half a size.
Being in the mindset of less is more, PUMA also cut down on the sole plate, making it very thin and even killing off a stud in the heel. Traction isn't affected though, and it's nice and aggressive but still allows you to be as nimble-footed as you feel, with the conical studs allowing you a great maneuverability. Critics will say that there's stud pressure, and they're right. But as boxers will tell you, no pain, no gain. On the ball, the evoSPEED is probably the most straightforward boot I've ever worn.
Barefoot is what they promise, and barefoot is what you get. It doesn't get much more precise than the evoSPEED SL, where you feel every little thing you do, whether you dribble or strike the ball, which means you will feel the full fury of your strikes. There's also a small amount of friction thanks to the matte finish on the upper to make sure it doesn't get slippery in the wet. But basically, you're on your own, soldier.
This all might sound like every fast player's wet dream, but unfortunately, everything comes at a price.
The biggest price you pay is the infamous durability, because the boot is so minimal that it's not built to withstand a lot. I have managed to squeeze more than 10 matches out of these, but unless you're an oil sheik with money to burn, use these only for matches. Also, when you make such a thin, light boot, protection isn't on the feature list, which isn't a problem if you're so fast that your opponent won't get near you. However, if he does, you'll need to suck it up. So, let's be honest here. Will the PUMA evoSPEED SL make you physically faster? No. Will it last you forever? No. Will it protect your feet? Is it a complete disaster then? No. It's quite the contrary, because it will give you that mental edge by feeling like you're wearing nothing at all and almost floating on the pitch. And for what it's worth, that's a completely unique sensation. And if you want better durability, there's always the evoSPEED SLS.
In other words, the evoSPEED SL isn't built to play it safe, and definitely isn't for everyone. It's crafted to be extreme and radical, but is a little too thin for my liking, as it made me think twice before going into a tackle. However, if you've always dreamt of not wearing boots at all, this is the boot for you, and I'm sure you'll SL it. Simply love it.